Welcome to the Change of Pace podcast, where we're following along the creation of Canada's first professional track and field league. With me throughout this series, we have the founder and creator, Quinn Lyness. He's literally created this by himself, so nobody knows it better than him.
Welcome to the Canadian Track and Field League's first ever entry draft.
Hey! We'll cover everything from how the CTFL got started, give you updates throughout the season, and keep you updated on how the CTFL plans to change the pace of track and field. I'm your host, Samar La Vaughn. Let's get into this podcast series. How's it going, Quinn? How are you, man? We just had our third meet at Ottawa, right? How's the league going?
Yeah, it's going pretty well. Thanks for having me on again today, and super excited to kind of delve into things. So let's go.
Let's get into it. So walk me through the third meet at Ottawa. That's where you went to school, right?
Yeah, that's where I'm from. So that's where we're also having the championships and stuff this year. So it was kind of like a little bit of a taste, I guess, of what we're going to be seeing at the actual championships themselves. So it was really fun. It was a smaller meet than London. So last meet there was like 65 people at CTFL athletes are competing. This one there was about 20 athletes, so it was a little bit of a smaller scale, and that's because of like the way I set it up. And I guess we haven't really talked about it, was like the athletes only need to compete at one prelim event of the three, but they have to compete at the championship. So obviously there's going to be like, if there's like 100 core athletes, then there's like 60 something at London, 20 at Montreal, 20 in Ottawa. So that's kind of the way it's kind of worked out. It's shaken up. So it was a good meet, definitely. Some couple of really good performances. So I was happy to see it, and it was on my home kind of track, which was nice to also see. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. Home track, home field, dope. So you mentioned good, some pretty good performances. What were the good performances, the standing out performances, I should say? And what are the current standings since this third meet?
Yeah, so I think the two standout performances were, obviously the four hurdles, always like the four hurdlers, they show up. It was really good. Like the men's four hurdles, we had 4 CTFL athletes all in the same race, 4 or 5. Five CTFL athletes all in the same race and stuff. So that was a pretty nice one. That was the one where we have for the men's, the Rockstar Cato, he's the Olympian, that's part of the core group. Right. And so they did pretty well. It was after the provincial championships, so they're all kind of a little bit sluggish, a little tired on the men's side. So I think like the winning time was like 52, which is decent, but the second place time was like 54, which is a little slower and stuff. But and then on the women's side, it was really nice to see Alex Telford. So she's the first overall draft pick. She was picked by the Arctics. So she competed for the first time in the CTFL, and that's her home track. So she went just shy of breaking that 1 minute barrier for the 4 hurdles. So it was, she like far ahead. Like you understand why. I now understand why she was picked first. Because like she was ahead of the field by like a good, I think, like 8 seconds. So like she dominated that race. And she recently, like a week later, she just broke the 1 minute barrier for the nationals and stuff. So it's good to see that. But that was really good. And then the other stand performance was Jordan Savory. I think she ran like 11, 11:8 or 11. Yeah, I think it was 11:8 in the 100. So it wasn't her best time of the season by no means. She was going into a headwind, but it's put her well in front to win the championship for the women's 100. So a couple good performances and stuff. And on the field side, we had 2 shot putters, both on the 3 shot putters, all on the Bears, one male, 2 female.
Bears.
The Eric Brathwaite, I forget what he threw, but it was another really good one. So overall, pretty good meet, good performances and stuff. So it was nice to see it.
What team is now in the league with this third meet?
Yeah, so the Huskies remain in, or now, they're first. So I guess last time we talked was after London, so they were not in the lead just yet, right after London, but they made the switch I think right after the CTI, so after the last prelim there, they made a huge upset because they were dead last too, like, and it wasn't even close.
Yeah, they.
So like they overtook the Bears narrowly, like by like 60 points. Now we're like a week after kind of thing, and the Bears are like holding pace with them. I think they're like 150 points off. So I think like the Huskies got like 100 points on the Bears in this
Yeah.
last week, which is insane because like usually CTFL athletes they'll get about 1,000 points per performance. So like it kind of ranges. So it could be like literally a difference between like a good performance and a great performance that'll decide the title.
Ooh, it's a close one. It's a
Yeah.
close one. See, that's what I love about track. You know, you never know what's going to happen. I saw this commercial when I was growing up. It said track and field is a sport where passion trumps logic. You know, where you might think somebody is going to win in the hurdles, they're the favorite, and then they trip over the hurdle, and then somebody else is just running them down right there.
Yeah.
Boom, dip in at the line. You know, anything can happen. It can be a close battle. Teams can come up and win. Baton could be dropped, or you know, zone is missed. Anything can happen. Passing trumps logic. You got to really want it, really go after it. But I know you said the CTFL is your passion, and growing the sport is your mission. Why? Why do you want to grow the sport? Like, what does track and field mean to you? What has it done for you that you really want to, you know, help out so much?
I mean, like it's given me so much like confidence. I mean, doing this also gives you like confidence. Really cool to like kind of talk to Olympians now. But like when I was younger, I was it was funny. I never came first or anything. I was always second or like third. But like I kept on pushing. I kept on like, you know, basically as like it got more difficult, I still continued to progress. I was never first, but like I was always like making that next step. So like I was qualifying for like offset. I think we talked about a couple of them like Zooms, you know, a couple podcasts ago and stuff. And then like made my first like nationals, and then I got my first like provincial medal. And then, you know, I mean, like I kept on kind of coming and getting pace, I guess, with it. But it gave me a lot of confidence and gave me an environment to like thrive and call my own, and like a group of people where everybody's very like-minded. Like track athletes are all really smart and stuff. So yeah, like track and field's given me everything. Like I dedicate my life, you know, I mean, I would dedicate my life easily to track and field if, you know, I could. And that's part of the problem. Yeah, well, yeah, now exactly. But like normally you can't really dedicate your life to track and field unless you're like an Olympian, basically, because we don't have enough money in the sport. And so we'll solve that problem. But yeah.
Love that. Okay. But why is your mission to grow the sport? I know what it means to you, what it's done for you. You said with your confidence and, you know, the things that it's taught you, the people you get to connect with, the community you've built. Why do you want to grow it?
I think it's just time for the sport to grow. We had like this thing called it's like a regatta weekend. It's like dragon boat racing in Ottawa. And like I coached with the local track club. But like I was like saying, like, guys, like the dragon boat races are bigger than track and field in Canada right now. Like they have like a concert, they have like it's like all closed off. It's all there's like thousands of people. I'm like, we don't have this for our like for our sport. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Like it's dragon boat racing. No offense if you have any dragon boaters, you know, listening. But like, how is this happening? So it's just time. And if no one else was going to do it, which clearly no one has, then it's like up to like me and up to like other people to make this happen. So yeah. And actually like kind of thinking about it, in Canada, another reason why I didn't really talk about it, but like another reason why I created the track and field league was because in Canada, when COVID first hit, there was only certain athletes, like if you're like an Olympic athlete, you were allowed to start training indoors. And no one else was. And then it was like carded athletes, and that's like being carded as like you're elite. Like they consider you elite or like a high performer, potential like future medalist in the sport. And those are the guys who are the only ones who were allowed to compete or like train indoors for months. Like my training partner Saj, who I talk about, he's on the Arctics. So he was allowed to compete and train and stuff, but I wasn't allowed to go and like train with him. And it's just like it was just unfortunate. I was 20 at the time of the pandemic, so I had nothing else to do. Actually, I was like 19, so I like it's not like I didn't have like a future, I guess, at that point. But like, yeah, so it was just high time that like all these other professional sports leagues were able to continue to train and stuff. But because track and field is like we're basically held down by like the administrators. So we don't have the ability to like say like, no, we're a professional athlete. This is our livelihood. Therefore, we couldn't go train. So like it needs to change. And that's why like I took it upon myself to try and change it. Yeah.
Love that. That's a couple things you said actually, stung me a little bit there, because those are things that I went through, when COVID happened, same thing. They shut down all the tracks. Nobody could go and train unless you were attending a college. Then you could kind of train with your team. As long as your coach said it was okay, they put in a schedule or something like that. All the local tracks were closed and everything like that. Olympians were allowed to train because the Olympics was coming up. They were trying to wait and see what was going to happen with that. But the rest of us that was training to potentially make that, committed to our goals, committed to our dreams, we didn't get a chance to train at this. So I'm waking up super early. I actually used to wake up at 4 a.m., run down to my local high school. I won't say what high school. I would hop the fence and I'm training on the track. And it's funny because the only other person that would be there at the time is the janitor. Yeah. So the janitor would come out and watch me. And after a while, I'm like, I noticed somebody kind of watching from a distance. And then he was like, hey, man, what's your workout? I kind of want to do something too. Like, do you think it'd be cool if I run the bleachers? You've been inspiring me because we closed the track and here you are hopping the gate to train by any means. You still trying to get it in. And I was like, wow, man, I really appreciate that. But nobody else understands how much that hurt the sport, how much that's hurting other athletes. Like, that's our livelihood, being able to train, trying to create a career, create a life for ourselves. So I understand how you feel with that. So dang, yeah, that kind of stung me a little bit there.
Yeah, I was also gonna say like in Canada, you have to think like it was much worse. Like I've gone to like down to the States, like New York, even like New York State in the wintertime in like January, and there's like hardly any snow on the ground. But like in Canada, like I don't know what it is, but we like literally picked the line that like snow is like abundant basically up north here. So like I couldn't train. Like I mean like I couldn't like we don't even have like tracks for like our high school and stuff. Like we have gravel tracks. Like you may as well run on the pavement. In Canada, I have in Ottawa, there's one track with like actual like material, like Mondo material basically, and then they just put in another one at like this high school that's like gated up basically. But like it's like terrible. Like for us during COVID, like if you were not elite like me, like even though I was on a university team and I was like excelling on that university team, I still couldn't get any training whatsoever because I wasn't allowed to go inside. So like it was snowing. I mean, like there was still like snow on the ground until like, late March, April kind of thing. And that persisted for the last 2 years, basically. So hopefully next year in Canada, like we can get more kind of, facilities opening up to like the general public, like even just like track clubs. So, but yeah, it's still a problem here. So yeah.
Yeah, it would be dope to see more track clubs starting up, giving more athletes the opportunity to train, connect with more coaches, more athletes, really chase their dreams, but now I know why track and field means so much to you, why you want to grow the sport. I know what it's done for you. What do you think the CTFL will do for the sport?
I think honestly, it has the potential to completely change like the landscape of track and field. And like, there's other parties like World Athletics and like for me, like Athletics Canada and stuff. But like, even if they adopt like this kind of model, like it just, there's so much, if they do it correctly, like there's so much potential to be able to grow the sport using like this model. Just because like, for me, like I started it with like minimal amount of capital, like hardly.
Right there. Yeah. How much did the CTFL cost? How much did you start this whole thing with? Because I know you partnered with some companies, but you got jerseys. It's really dope to see the CTFL on jerseys out there on athletes. Yeah. I seen the CTFL on bibs. Like there's a lot going on. How much did the CTFL cost?
It was it's like $13,000 Canadian. So like in American terms, it's like maybe $10,000 for US dollars. So it's
10K.
Yeah, 10K. So
you write that down. 10K.
Yeah. So it's like this is obviously like the first iteration. Like next year, I'm already planning for next year. I'm gonna have a meeting with all the athletes this weekend actually
Oh,
to talk about it. But we're like quadrupling our budget because like we want better media quality. We want like a TV show being produced. We want like all like this kind of stuff in order to help the sport grow. But yeah, like this has the potential to like really do something amazing for the sport. And we desperately need it. Like it's like everybody's talking and talking and talking. Like, all these like big heads basically talking about like, oh, we need this and we need this. And it's just like, hey, show me a solution, put it into action, and like let's go. You know what I mean? Like, why am I the first person? I jumped in. Nobody knew who I was. Like absolutely nobody. Now I'm starting to get to know everybody, kind of thing. Like both on the administrative side, even like the social media side. Like for you, like it's just like, why was no one doing this in the first place? Like it's obviously hopefully going to be working out. I mean, I can't see in the future, but like it has the potential to like really help the sport grow. So why is this not being done already? Why is it taking? Why at 21 years old? Why am I the one that was supposed to be doing it? You know what I mean?
well, I actually had a conversation with I had a conversation with my first track and field coach. The odds of ever running into my first track and field coach, I haven't seen that man in like 12, 15 years. I ran into him at the ATM of all things. But I was able to show him, what I've created. And he was expressing how there are people that kind of had similar ideas. It's always been talk, it's always been the talk on the track. Let's do this, let's do that. But one thing that I was able to understand from this conversation is we do have unique opportunities that they didn't have before, right? One big opportunity is websites. Like the internet really changed the world. It really changed the world. You have a website, I have a website.
Yeah.
My coach did not have a website.
Yeah.
Somebody young on this team was like, Coach, we need a website. Everybody else out here got websites. Why we not up here? Where our track photos? He didn't know because they didn't have this opportunity. So that's one reason why this opportunity wasn't, available before. But then also, there's only one Quinn Lyness. Nobody else can do what you can do. They can help out. I can help out. But, you've been able to teach me some things. I'm sure other people out there are listening, watching the videos, watching the CTFL as it grows, and you've presented a new model, right? It's a unique model. Nobody else has sat down and really thought about it because nobody thought we could take it to this level. People are comfortable in the track and field world. Some coaches are comfortable, some athletes are comfortable. They're just not thinking how you're thinking. And that's cool because you have a unique position. You have great value. We have conversations off the camera, off record about, what's going to come with the CTFL and how you went about this whole thing. And nobody else has started it like this, man. That's really the reason. It's not even like a cocky thing, but it's really like nobody was doing what Steve Jobs did. Nobody was doing what Mark Zuckerberg did. They were inspired by some things and had some unique opportunities, and they changed the game. Just like you're about to change the pace for track and field. We do need this. It is good to see how you're inspiring other companies out there, these big companies. I couldn't see World Athletics trying this, but I can see them adopting it in the sense that it's like, let's be a part of that. They might fund it. They might they'll add your name to the bib of some of their meets and stuff like that, because this is something it's not going to stop the sport. It's not going to slow up the sport. It's only going to help the sport. There can be more teams. There can be more athletes. It's just, providing more opportunities. It's something that we, like you said, desperately need. So it's really good to see how you've been able to just build this thing from the ground up. That's really dope to see. But there's a lot going on with the CTFL right now. Why should people tune in? What makes your league different?
I think like the league itself, I mean, the structure itself is like very different, but like why you should be tuning in is like, this is like by far, like this is the minimum viable product. This is what we're doing. at the smallest possible scale. So like you're going to be part of like basically the growth, potentially track and field, but like especially like the Canadian Track and Field League. So like to be able to watch it and you can like follow along, like we're going to have like trading cards being released, like we're going to be working with Bell Lap in order to actually sell these singlets and stuff. Like we're going to be auctioning them off so you can actually like
Bell
autograph
Lab,
singlets.
what is Bell Lab?
They're like a social media page and they do like gear sales and stuff like
Oh,
that, like track and field gear sales. So like we're gonna be able to do like that kind of stuff, and you can like own a piece of like imagine owning like Michael Jordan's like first ever game worn like jersey. You know what I mean? Like it's just
right.
like
No,
that
I
kind of
know
stuff.
people that go insane.
Yeah.
I have a friend, his uncle owns OJ Simpson's
Yeah.
helmet.
We've
So
talked about before and stuff, but like
yeah,
you know what I mean, like it's just like that's like obviously next year we're gonna become growing and stuff, but like you're able to understand at the ground level what has gone into the Canadian Track and Field League, and like I guess like and it's also the nice thing is like everything's for free. We're showing you everything for free. Like name a place, name anywhere that is doing that. You cannot name a single track and field anything that is giving you something for free. You're either going to be paying for like whatever CBC like sports, or you're paying for TSN, or you're paying for like runner space or what's it, flow track and stuff like that. We're doing it all for free. So like you want this model to exist, because if it's not, we're going to go back to like the paywall, and you should be kind of like, that's just one thing, like you should be supporting us to be able to change the model of track and field so you can watch stuff for free and you don't need to
right.
and it's a centralized spot, so like, you can just continue to watch the CTFL and stuff, and like we'll soon expand into like other kind of like networks and stuff like that, like not even filming CTFL related stuff. We can kind of do this model and like create this system where you can watch it all for free, which is going to be awesome, but we need your support now in order to actually make that happen.
Right. We need your support now in order for us to get there.
Exactly.
Without the CTFL, there's a struggle in Canada right now, and you're helping solve those problems. So without the CTFL, it'll just continue to be a struggle. Nobody else out there is, nobody else cares enough to do anything about it. So that's a huge reason why we need to see if the CTFL and why you should tune in.
Yeah.
One big question. This might be, a little selfish of me, but I personally have been wondering, on the business side, because Trackletics is a business, the CTFL is a business.
Yeah.
I've been wondering, how do you manage the CTFL? What does your day-to-day look like? What are you doing? What's going on? Like, let me in on what's going on there.
Okay, well, I generally try. We just had our 100th like Instagram post, so like I generally try and post something. Yeah,
Congrats on that, because media is first. I see how you are building the brand online. Congrats on that. That's major.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a big one. So I try and post at least something once every 2 days, if not every day. So that's like one big thing is like, what am I posting? Because there's always something new. Like we're doing like standings updates. Right now we're doing like the countdown for like the top 10 CTFL prelim moments, which is like really cool to see. But like there's all these things that are happening like regarding like that. And then there's the behind the scenes stuff that you're not going to be able to see, which is I need to get like medals being made. I just got basically like the pictures of like the medals for the championships. So they're going to be coming in on July 4th. And so like, yeah.
Hold on, let me interrupt. I'm sorry to interrupt, but let me interrupt there. Because there's a lot of track meets. Like I've personally been to a lot of track meets. I've worked a lot of track meets. I've watched a lot of track meets, and you get nothing. You go nowhere. So now here you are creating a league, and you're creating medals. So athletes, that's something you get to remember the experience you had, right? The people you've connected with, the coach you've had, all the work that you've put in. There's a lot of track meets out there. You win, and they just put a microphone. Yeah, how'd you feel? Okay, good. Yeah, we'll make some money off this interview. Next, but now you get something. You get something to show for all the hard work you put in, man. Athletes be out there throwing up, catching cramps, getting hurt, pulling muscles. We go through a lot. You get nothing. You go nowhere. So thank you. I had to interrupt you because that's dope. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I know athletes out there are going to appreciate that because it's something that they deserve. It's something that we really need. That's something that's very overlooked. They just slap you on the back. All right, keep pushing.
So
So
that's what
dope.
That's one big thing. So I just got that kind of done. Next, I need to get a trophy for the championships, and that needs to be like delivered by a certain time. So like everything needs to be done now before the championship. So like I'm doing trading cards, and hopefully those will be in by the championship date. Unfortunately, I'm the one that's making them, so like their first edition, which is gonna be really cool to like own and stuff. But like it's me designing them, so like I'm not really a designer. So like they look pretty good now. They're not gonna look like like your regular kind of Top Shot or whatever. Like, I mean, like your big
First
one.
edition.
Yeah. So like, so you'll still get it and stuff. Like, imagine like hockey cards back in like 1950. Like it's better than that. But you know what I mean. So yeah. So there's stuff like that I have to do. That's like constantly day to day that I have to get in by like a certain deadline. Like especially in the beginning when I was trying to get everything finished, organizing stuff just in terms of like trying to get athletes, messaging athletes constantly to try and get them involved because CTFL was new, no one knew about it. So I had to actively seek out people. Whereas like next year's gonna be a joke because everybody wants to join the CTFL. Like I have like Olympians saying like I want to join. So like you know what I mean. So like it's a lot easier for me next year, but like this year, trying to find athletes. I spent like 3 days messaging every single like top 50 athlete in Canada for like all of the 8 events kind of thing, trying to get everybody involved. So like it's just and times 2 genders. So it was like whatever. I messaged like 800 people, or something like that, in like 3 days. Instagram, I'm not sure if they cut me off or something like that. I was messaging to so many people, but like it's just like that's the day to day. It's all new. Everything is like not even like I can't even take you like a typical day. A typical day is like me creating a post now and then working on something that's like imminent that I have to get done for the championship at this point. But yeah, so that's kind of like the day to day. I usually spend, it's not too bad these days, but normally I used to spend like 10 to like 14-hour days usually working on the CTFL. Now it's more like 6 to 7, I guess, 6 to maybe.
What do you mean working on the CTFL? Like, I know you're out. From my perspective, this is like a foundation for track and field for Canada. So what were you doing to build that? What were you working on? What was that like? You said you're DMing people. So I know it took a lot of time to send 800 DMs.
Yeah.
That probably took 3 days alone.
Yeah.
But like, what else were you doing? What exactly were you?
Well, at the very beginning, it was a lot of like messaging athletes.
Yeah, and you have a lot of partners too, right? Yeah. Or not a lot of partners, but sponsors. You have companies that you've partnered with.
That took a really long time too, trying to get into, because it's a new concept. Again, it's very difficult to get out there. So like, we had projections and stuff, like professional projections done by other companies. And they said like, you could get that like X amount, basically we got like a quarter of that for funding. So like, we didn't get that much in terms of funding wise. Like we're still in the red. Even though I told you I'm operating $13,000, like it's coming, some of it's out of pocket for me. But like next year, it'll be different because like there's large companies that were saying like, you're not big enough at this point. We can give you a lot of money, but you need to be bigger. So like next year we have potential to like kind of grow. But like dealing with sponsors and stuff, trying to like, it's all new stuff for me. I'm good at like the strategy, as I said before, but like dealing with sponsors, completely new to me. Dealing with athletes, completely new to me. Social media, not so good at it before, getting better at it now. Like I'm passable now. But yeah, like just stuff like that, basically like learning all these things. But yeah, it was a lot of like dealing with athletes and sponsors, and then also trying to get the meets because we partner with local organizations, like local clubs, to bring track meets to them in order to increase their like, it's a higher profile meet because the CTFL is attending it. So like,
who did you partner?
We partnered with London Western in London, Saint Laurent Select in Montreal, and the Ottawa Lions in Ottawa for both the last prelim and this championship that's coming up. So just 3 organizations this time. But after we released everything, now there's like I was chasing after people to try and get meets. Again, like it'll be different next year because like there's already people that are chasing after the CTFL and actually like wanting to pay for the CTFL to attend their meets. You know what I mean? Like they'll pay our organization in order to bring these high profile athletes to their meets. You know what I mean? So it's like we have offers like that are trying to get their meets into like a larger kind of category of like, yeah. So it's gonna be a lot easier next year. It was just a lot for me to like deal with trying to chase down people, both athletes, sponsors, and like meet coordinators and stuff like that. All 3 of those at the beginning of the year. I was trying to get the athletes in because the coordinators want to know who's coming to their meets, and like the
Right.
sponsors want to know who's coming to their meets, and then the athletes want to know where they're going before they sign up. So it was like a whole bunch of back and forth. But this year, next year, obviously will be a little bit different just because we're now known, and like we're going to be able to like I guess gain we have like more of a reputation at this point. So
no, definitely have a reputation at this point. You keep saying you're not doing too much with the Instagram page, but people see it. It's going viral. I have teammates that follow it, and we love it. We're loving it. So keep going. Even though you feel like you're not a specialist at it, we're definitely entertained. We're intrigued that there's a new out there, and we're gonna keep watching it for sure.
Yeah, like next year we're gonna have like a lot bigger plans. We're doing like whole media production, like the whole like kit and caboodle kind of thing. So like it's gonna be really fun next year. Like I mean the championships we're also gonna be upping the media quality, but like next year it's like gonna be like a jump of like 10 times. So yeah.
Like upping the media quality, like
we're getting like instead of like I'm operating with like $300 cameras, like next year we're gonna have like $4,000 cameras. So like I mean like the video quality we're gonna be having like edit like a team of editors instead of just a single editor. So we're gonna have stuff being rolled out a day later, and also like live. We're gonna have like live track and field meets as opposed to like it's posted 2 days after the meet. You know what I mean? So like just like that kind of stuff, just having like all this fun things that are happening with the CTFL. Yeah.
See, so you're actually creating more opportunities than just on the track. You have some opportunities off the track with those creators you'll be working with, people that are going to edit the videos, people that are going to shoot the videos, people that might. I've seen somebody actually kind of hosting and interviewing the athletes.
Yeah.
Just talking to them and the same post-race recaps and stuff like that. So you're literally creating opportunities on and off the track. That's another important.
Yeah.
A lot of people love track. All sports come to an end. Football, there's a plethora of jobs out there. Soccer, basketball, but track and field, since we don't have anything, the only job is to become a track and field coach, maybe a sports agent or something, or be aside from being a professional athlete, we're talking about, after running, there's nothing else. There's nothing out there for you. But now that there's a league in Canada, as it's growing, people can, show their value to you. Like, hey, I help build brands online. Hey, I've created, I do digital work. I'm a videographer. I do filming. Whatever it is, I want to create a podcast with you. Stuff like that. You're literally creating opportunities for people that love track and field, that want to get involved on the track and off the track. So that's huge. That's another major reason why we need stuff like this, because a lot of people love it and they want to be a part of it. They want to have some type of job in the sport, So that's something did you even realize that's something that you were doing, or did it kind of just happen?
Like a little bit. Like I know like in Canada, I mean, it's probably the same thing in the States, where like you have really good, I say like support for the CTFL, like for the like track and field in general, like really good photographers that come to the meet and don't do it like they do it for like really cheap, and they do it like really high quality. Like videographers as well. There's nothing that like if it's a funnel, we have like kind of like the funnel. Like if it's like the funnel, we have like a really good bottom of the pyramid, but like at the top where like we're producing content, there's nothing. So like no one cares. You know what I mean? So like even though you have a really good support kind of system, we can't utilize it. So right now I'm making really good use of like the support system that's around. Like a lot of people are really helping me out and stuff, because like it will benefit them in the end, right? Like if track and field goes from a sport, say like it's making like $1 million in Canada, maybe that's its value in Canada. But if it grows to like 10 million, you know how much we can spread that? You know what I mean? Like we can create jobs. We can create like, instead of like working like a part-time job and then being like a photographer on the side because like you need the supplemental income, now you can be a full-time
photographer. Your career, right?
Exactly, right? So like, yeah, I'm kind of aware of that, but like, yeah, saying that out loud, I mean, in my head, I think I realized it, but out loud, I don't even said it yet. So, yeah.
That's dope. Also, I just had this. You just reminded me. Earlier in the conversation, you mentioned that you said it's some type of boat racing.
Yeah, it's like this like dragon boat racing. It's like
Dragon boat racing. Yeah. So there's whenever I come home and my mom or my brother is watching TV, or I go over a friend's house and they're watching TV, and there's so many different sports on, right? I came home one time, my brother's watching cornhole.
yeah.
You mean to tell me they got a cornhole league and we don't have a track and field league? They're racing everything except building a track and field league. They're even creating sports now. We got American Ninja
Yep.
Warrior. It's like they want to create stuff and we don't even have a league. That just breaks my heart every time I see it. So I keep saying it, but I'm really excited. I tune in every day. Every day I wake up, I'm like, man, let me see what the CTFL got going on. And this is before I became a partner with the league, before I became a sponsor. So I'm really excited. Like that you reminded me of that because that triggered me earlier, because there's so, like, we got boat racing out
There's so many
here.
weird sports that are so much like that have so much more hype than the track and field in
They
general. And
racing
you're like, wow.
drones, they doing all type of stuff. And track and field is a sport that, I mean, the legacy goes all the way back to, I mean, if you believe it, like
Ancient Rome. Like,
yeah, ancient Rome and Greece, and that's the whole reason we call it the Olympics, and being because it came from Olympia and all of that. And we still don't have no league.
we have nothing. Yeah, no.
It doesn't make no sense. So it's crazy. So I really do enjoy talking to you, learning more about the league. I do see how more opportunities are coming for the league. I do see other companies watching, liking the post, following you now. One last question that I do have is, as the league is growing and making more money, is that money going to be going towards the athletes to pay them more? Are you investing in more meets, more, up in the gear that you keep saying, the media? Like, what are you going to be doing to invest in the league and actually help the league grow?
Yeah, so I think at least for next year, we will be increasing the prize funding for the athletes by about double. So like my plan is, the athletes right now, they're making they're making all of the revenue, but all the money that I've been able to like generate is going to the athletes at this point, and everything else, like all the operations side, like the website, the singlets, all that kind of stuff, that's all being covered by me. So like that's kind of the landscape that we have right now. The athletes are generating we have an $8,000 prize fund. So next year we hope to have about double. So we're going to be increasing it to about $15,000 to like $16,000, potentially more depending on how many followers we can get, because that helps us get better sponsors and kind of generate a little bit more money. But the plan is to quadruple the expenses, so quadruple our budget next year. So though we're only going to be doubling the prize fund, we're going to be quadrupling our overall budget to probably about like 45 to like $60,000. And the plan with that is to basically increase the media production. And you can say, like, if you want to take the devil's advocate position, like why do you not want to pay the athletes more? And it's like, if I'm paying the athletes more at this point, we have such a small pot, and I'm being honest, but like we're not generating $100,000. We're not giving me $100,000 to this point. So like, if I give athletes actually like $200, that's not going to be enough for you to quit your part-time job and go and work harder and get faster kind of thing, or jump further, or higher, throw further as well. You know what I mean? So like, it's not going to make a difference at that point. What will make a difference for me is like, if I can put it back into like media and create this whole platform, in order to create like basically like track and field will be we'll be able to compete with any kind of track competition in Canada next year, hopefully for the championships especially. And like by doing that, we can create platforms for the athletes to actually go get like individual sponsors, and that will far like basically they'll out earn any amount that I would have been able to give them this year. Right. Like even with their individual, like if I can give them like $15,000 next year, and then they can go get $30,000 the year after. Even like $30,000 for like individual sponsors between like the 128 athletes that we currently have. That's massive for them. Like I would not be able to give them that $30,000 because that'd be the entire budget. So like that's my plan. So by increasing by increasing our budget and not giving like the proportional amount to the athletes, we're actually able to generate more money for them in the end. I know it's kind of like hard to, I guess, see, and I'll probably get criticism for it. But if you think about it like a stock, like a company, you have a growth stock and you have a dividend stock. When you have like dividend stocks, you're taking, so say like on average, the company would grow 10% every single year. Um, so that's like the rate of the market. But if you have a 5% dividend, that cash is leaving the system. So like by paying the athletes, that cash is going into like their pockets and stuff and not helping grow the company. So
Right.
the CTFL, if you have like 10% growth, but all 10% is growth, and like you're not paying anybody out, so no cash like the dividends, then you're not actually losing any of the money, and you're actually going to be able to kind of like, if it's an exponential growth, you have to imagine like if you're not taking the kind of 10% out of the company will grow kind of like at a steeper rate compared to if you're paying dividends, then the company will grow slower. And then in the end, the pot, pot of money at the end of this, like you say 10 years in the future, will be less than what it would have been if you didn't take out like all that money.
Dang. That's deep. That's true. That is true. I mean, I know as an athlete myself, I'll feel like, hey, maybe I will compete better and run faster if you paid me more. I understand how the small amounts wouldn't necessarily help. And it would help me less and hurt the league more.
Mhm.
Like you said, at the end, the pot will be less. So that's less athletes, that's less people getting paid in general. That's less opportunities being created on and off the track. Dang, that's something I wasn't even thinking of.
Yeah, and if you want to use like another analogy, and you can include
Crazy.
it in the podcast or not, but like the way that like so everyone knows Asia grew really really fast, right? And so they used this method called the flying geese paradigm, and basically Japan was the leader. So like Japan would take so they started producing if you imagine like tiers in terms of the quality with like maybe like tier one you say like is like nanotechnology or something like that, but like they
Mhm.
started producing really cheap toys, like the same as like China would have at the very beginning, right? So um, China is now producing like fairly cheap things in this because like they have a really large population. But like Japan started it all. That's what revolutionized like Eastern Asia, and that's because like they led the pack. So when Japan moved from like say like tier one goods to tier two goods, then the next countries, I think it was like South Korea and like the Asian four, they moved into the tier one. So they got all of, like Japan stuff and they moved it into like their countries and then start producing with that. And then Japan moved to tier three, and those countries moved to tier two. And then a next kind of group followed. So like that's what we have to do in terms of like track and field right now. Like it sucks because like they kind of sacrifice, like we sacrifice our earning right now in order to like get money in the future. And it's because like nobody jumped the gun. No one passed Japan because like it's kind of like if you're like shoveling snow, the snow kind of like goes off the side, and like you basically want to like accumulate the most amount, and you want that leader to like lead the way. So like that's kind of what the CTFL could be potentially. Like there's a bunch of different things, but like leagues. But like you want somebody to push the snow, like to push the pile basically forward, and then kind of leave space for everybody else to grow with it.
Right.
So like next year, I'm gonna ask the athletes like we're only gonna be doubling your prize fund, which is like still pretty good. But like say if we didn't like double the prize fund, we just kept it like the same level, then we might be able to grow even further. I'm not gonna do that because like they deserve to be paid more. But like I mean like that's just the way that track and field works. And right now, if you imagine like track and field is like a cycle, we're constantly cycling out money into like the athletes' pockets, and also like administrators, like they take a lot of money too. But like we're constantly putting money in and then it comes out of the cycle. And it's not actually building anything. So like in order for track and field to grow, we need to actually be able to like constantly build and build and build until the
Trash.
point where like we're actually like a sport that people care about.
True.
But yeah.
I mean, on top of that, I think the main problem is no one intends to build anything. They're taking money out with no intention to build it, no care to build it. So they might be even taking more money out because there's no intention to build it. Certain athletes get an appearance fee, other athletes get absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So And then, like you said, the administrators, the people that hosted me, stuff like that. They
right
get the rest.
now, if you imagine
So
track as that Stockhold, like the thing I was saying like 10% growth. Like right now, track and field is taking like a 9% dividend, and they're leaving like 1% for growth, which is like which is bad. You know what I mean? Like we just
but
take out all this money.
they're not using that 1% for growth. What is
Exactly.
growing? We don't
Yeah, well,
have that
I mean like
same.
growth for track. I mean like there's like inflation. If you want to imagine it, usually like inflation is like 2%. So you can imagine it like that. But I'm getting too technical. But like, you know what I mean? Like it's just people, we're taking out money from the sport. And like, yes, it's going to the athletes, but like we're not using it to grow the sport. We have not grown. We are not growing. We are not a sport that is growing at all. And it's terrible. And it should frighten people. And like you need to be able to like, I mean, it's like a call to action, but like trust me, hopefully that like I'm doing something that will hopefully improve the landscape of track and field, because currently there's nothing. Like as you what's your saying there? We get nothing, go nowhere.
We get nothing, we go nowhere. No, but you are creating something that's, as we say, changing the pace for track and field.
Yeah.
You know, that's, we literally get nothing, we go nowhere.
Yeah,
it's nothing
totally.
but
It's big. So like hopefully this does help change the landscape, because it's true, we just don't have anything that's kind of like generating money for the sport to grow. We just generate the cash. It's like, okay, like, you know, Usain Bolt shows up to a race, we're gonna pay him $1 million and stuff. As Jerome Blake shows up, we pay him like $100, and then call it a day. You know what I mean? Like it's just like, and it's so top heavy, but like change needs to happen from like the top and stuff. And if it's not gonna happen from the top, well then let's see if I can do it. Yeah.
I love it, man. I love it. It's a pleasure to be a part of it. I'm excited to help change the pace of track and field. You know, as I said before, this is something that's not in my area, not in my city, not in my state. I'm not on a team, but there's something that I know that I have to be a part of, because it's pushing the sport, something that's helping the sport of track and field grow. And that's something that means a lot to me. That's something that means a lot to our fans, our followers. So we all need to help, follow, give them a like, subscribe to their YouTube channel, check out the website, keep up with the league. This is something you need to be a part of. You know, people in my home city, my home state, like the Raptors.
Yeah.
Why not keep up with the CTFL? It's literally in the same, you know what I'm saying? So it's the same. You know, and this is our sport. So keep up with the CTFL, show them some love. It's a pleasure talking to you again, Quinn.
Thank you.
Have a great day, man.
Thank you. Have a good day.